Good morning, children. As you know, for your first term examination, we have chapter number 2, 4 and 9 in our syllabus. So already we have completed chapter number 2, 4 as well as 9. So now today we are going to start the revision from chapter number 2. So this is chapter number 2. Already we had discussed. So I am going to take it fast because I want to revise all the 3 chapters. So this is chapter about reproduction in plants. So in this chapter first we had discussed what is reproduction. So reproduction means producing young ones of same kind, or the individuals, all the organisms produce individuals of their own kind for survival of species is called reproduction. Now we had discussed reproduction is of how many types. So reproduction, it is of 2 types. One is asexual reproduction and second is the sexual reproduction. So as we had discussed, children, asexual means when only one parent is involved and there is no formation or the fusion of male or female cells. So that type of reproduction is called asexual. A means only one. When only one parent is involved, that type of reproduction is called asexual reproduction. When both the parents are involved, then the reproduction is called sexual reproduction. Now, asexual reproduction, it mainly happens in lower organisms. Lower organisms just like bacteria, plants like algae, fungi, they produce asexually. Now in that also we had studied asexual reproduction. It occurs mainly by fission. Fission means breaking down into 2 parts. Second is by fragmentation, when the organism is able to form fragment and each fragment is able to develop into a new organism, that is fragmentation. And by the formation of spore, that is the third process, that is the formation of spores occurs in the cell. So these are the type of, mainly the type of asexual reproduction. So children, what we had discussed, that I am going to show you, that type of asexual reproduction we had discussed in the previous lecture also. Types of asexual reproduction. So that is binary fission, budding, fragmentation and spore formation. Okay, other than that, vegetative reproduction. So these 4 type of reproduction, it occurs in lower organisms. Lower means very small organisms. Okay, like bacteria, fungi, algae. And this vegetative reproduction, it occurs in higher organisms. Okay, like plants. So the vegetative reproduction, it is again of 2 types. One is the natural reproduction, second is the artificial reproduction. So in natural reproduction, the reproduction is again of 3 types. First is the reproduction by stem, second is the reproduction by leaf, third is the reproduction by roots. And vegetative artificial reproduction, or you can say, children, artificial reproduction, instead of that you can also use one more word, that is called propagation. Propagation. So vegetative reproduction, either you can say it vegetative propagation. So both are same thing. So in vegetative artificial propagation, and it is again of 4 types: cutting, layering, grafting and micropropagation. Is that clear? Micropropagation. So what we are discussing, children? We are discussing asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, in lower organism, it is of 4 types. In higher organism, it is of one type, but again it is divided on the basis of natural and artificial. It is divided into two types. One is the natural, second is the artificial. In natural reproduction, it occurs through the reproduction by stem, reproduction by leaf, reproduction by root. So first we are going to take binary fission. As binary fission, as I have already told you, bi means 2. Bi means 2. I will show it in your book. Bi means 2. Now you can see this is a single cell. Suppose this is a cell of bacteria. Now this is a single cell. This single cell, it is able to divide into 2 equal half parts. Now each part is able to form a new organism. So this type of, now this is a parent cell. The first one is the parent cell. Now parent cell has divided into 2 parts. So after, they are called as 2 daughter cell. From one parent there is a production of 2 daughter cell. Okay. So now there is a formation of 2 cells. So because there is a formation of 2 cells, so it is called as binary. Binary means 2. Binary fission. Fission means breaking down into 2 parts. This is binary fission. So how you will explain? Binary fission, the process in which a single cell is able to split into 2 equal half. That is called binary fission. Now in some organisms like cholera, chlamydomonas, one cell divides into 2 daughter cells, into 4 daughter cells. Instead of 2, a single cell divides into 4 daughter cells. So 4 daughter cells, when they divide, that is called multiple fission. That is called multiple fission. Multiple means more than 2. Maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 6. But when a single cell is able to produce more than 2 cells, that is called multiple fission. Budding, that we had discussed, budding, it occurs in yeast. So in yeast cell, one parent cell, you can see there is a cell, one parent cell, one yeast cell, it is able to form a bud. Okay, this is a bud-like structure. Now there is a formation of a bud-like structure in which, as you can see in the picture children, this is a single cell, it contains a nucleus. That nucleus is the main part which contains chromosomes. So that nucleus is able to divide into 2 parts. Same thing is happening in binary fission. In binary fission also there is a single nucleus. Single nucleus, it has broken down into 2 parts. Same way in yeast cell also, yeast contain a single nucleus. This nucleus, it divides into 2 parts. One part it forms a bud and second part it remains inside the body of the parent cell. Now this bud increases in size, and after some time that bud is able to detach from the body of the parent. So one is the cell of the parent body and another is the cell new cell. So that is called budding. When there is a bud-like structure formed on the body of the parent cell, and after the division of the nucleus, the bud is able to detach from the body of the parent. That is called budding. Now the next is fragmentation. Fragmentation. Fragment. What is the meaning of fragment? Fragment means small pieces. So there is one organism, Spirogyra. The picture is not given in your book, so I will explain you through this diagram. Suppose this is a structure of Spirogyra. Spirogyra is a small organism that have a ribbon-like shape. It is very thin in size but long in the structure. Now this is a Spirogyra. Now I have cutted this Spirogyra into pieces. This is the first piece. This is the second piece. This is the third piece. Now each piece is able to develop into a new cell. So what are these? This is a fragment of a body. This is also a fragment of a body. This is also a fragment of a body. So when a body of an organism, it divides into different pieces, different fragments, and each fragment is able to produce a new individual. This type of reproduction is called fragmentation. Okay. Next is again the spore formation. spore formation occurs mainly in mosses and ferns, okay, and in the ornamental plants. So what are spores? Spores are very light structures that are formed on the body of any parent body. You can see this is a plant. On this plant, a ball like structure that you can see in the plant, this is sporangia. Now this sporangia, inside it contains small spores. These are the small spores. So outer covering it burst, and these small spores, they fly away in the air. So where they are flying, they are getting conditions to develop, they develop. Mainly it occurs in mosses and ferns, okay. And the diagram that I am showing you, that having the sporangia, that is rhizoporous, okay. So this is given in your book also, that a plant like mosses and ferns and some ornamental plants, they bear spore on the undesirable of their leaves. Spores are light in weight and they can be carried out by insects at different places. On reaching suitable condition of growth, spores germinate and give rise to a new plant. The fifth type of reproduction is vegetative reproduction, or it is also called as vegetative propagation. Now as I am telling you that reproduction or propagation, so because from here the word has arises, that is propagules. Now what are the propagules? The vegetative parts of the plant which are capable of giving rise to a new plant. Okay, vegetative part, I am explaining again. Vegetative means those are able to produce a new plant, like leaf, stem, root, fruit, seed. They all are the vegetative parts of the plant. So these vegetative parts which are able to give rise to a new plant, they are called propagules. So when these propagules, they are able to form a new plant, that is called vegetative propagation. Now this is again of two types. One is the natural vegetative propagation. Now vegetative propagation, first is reproduction by stem, means the propagation by stem. So in propagation by stem, the stem is involved. As I told you, propagules means the parts of the plant which are able to produce a new plant. So here is the example of stem. So in stem we can take the example of ginger. Ginger is a modified stem. So if we put ginger inside the soil, it develops axillary buds. So these axillary buds, they come out from the nodes. You can see in that picture, this is a ginger. Now when the farmer is going to put the ginger inside the soil, after 8 to 10 days, after sprinkling water for 8 to 10 days, a small new plant, it arises from these auxiliary scales. So ginger, it contains nodes and internodes, as well as these nodes carry thin brown papery scaly leaves. So they are able to form a new baby plant. So that is a propagation by stem. Similarly, it happens in potatoes also. Potatoes, they contain small bud like structure. You can see in this diagram, it's clearly given. When the potato, it get this type of buds on its body, so these buds are also called as the eyes of the potato. Now these buds, they are able to produce a new plant. So as you can see in this bird, in this potato, many buds are there, many eyes are there. So if we are going to cut this potato into small pieces, each bud is capable of giving rise to a new plant. So that is a vegetative propagation by stem. One example we have taken ginger, the second is potato. Now the third is onion. As you can see in this picture also, onion it contains, when we cut onion, we can see this type of scaly leaves. So these scaly leaves, they are able to, when you will put onion inside the soil, after some time from these scaly leaves a new plant arises with new leaves. So this is also a vegetative propagation by stem. Now the next is reproduction by leaf. Okay, so this is also very easy, children, because you can see in this picture this plant is called bryophyllum, very easily available, and most of the places it is available. As you can see in this plant, these are the leaves, and these leaves, they contain in the side small bud like structures. So these bud like structures, when we keep this single leaf in the soil and we water it, each bud is able to grow into a new leaf. You can see in this picture, each bud is able to produce a new leaf. So here the plant is forming with the help of leaf. So that is called propagation by leaf. Now coming to the propagation by roots. So in propagation by roots, so just like sweet potato, carrot, these type of plants, they grow. So they are called biennial because in the first year the root grow vegetative in the first year and they store food, and in the following year, in the coming year, the stem produce flower and seed, and which die by the end of second year. So this is the reproduction by roots. Okay, the sweet potato, when we keep it, first give this type, it stores the food, and then after that there is a rise of leaf in that. In the same way, the second example is the grass, the lawn grass. If grass is growing, when it is increasing in the size, we are going to in the grass automatically, when there is a formation of internode, this is the internode. When there is a formation of node, that node is able to develop new roots, and from these roots, from this node part, new plant, new leaves, new baby plants start arising. So this is also an example of vegetative reproduction. So children, this type of reproduction is easily, but what happens, because same type of plant is growing in the complete field. So if the disease is occurring to this part, same disease will occur in the same part, same disease will occur in the same part. So in this way, the farmers, they face the problem because the same crop, the same type of germs, they infect the crop. So vegetative propagation they don't prefer. Secondly, the dispersal of the seed, it doesn't take place by its own. Okay, so daughter cell, they develop, tend to remain nearby and restricted to the particular area. As you can see, this plant, this grass is growing here only. There is no dispersal of seed. So they are growing at a same place. So there is a competition for the water, temperature, even the space. So the plants, sometimes they are not able to develop in that area. So that is why the farmers, they don't prefer vegetative propagation. So you can say these are the disadvantages of vegetative propagation. So children, this is all about the vegetative reproduction. Now next topic we are going to take is artificial vegetative propagation. Thank you children.